Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get to what really matters.
And today we're digging into CrewAI.
Yeah, CrewAI. It's an open source framework, but it feels like more than just another tool, doesn't it? It seems like a different way of, well, building AI solutions.
It really is a definite
That,
shift. I mean, we've been so focused, understandably, on what these individual large language models can do, which is amazing.
right.
But CrewAI steps back and asks, okay, what if we take these, powerful individual AIs and actually organize them? Like a team.
Like a human too.
Exactly. Specialized roles working together on problems that are just, frankly, too big or maybe too multifaceted for just one AI, however smart it is.
Okay, so forget the idea of a single all-knowing AI. We're talking about like building a crew, specialists. Each
Yeah.
AI agent has its job, its role, and they collaborate.
S-
So, our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We want to give you a solid grasp of Crew AI, what it is, how it actually works, where it's being used, which is pretty exciting, and, what you need to understand its potential, whether you code daily or you're just trying to keep up with AI.
We've done the groundwork, looked through the docs, the examples, tried to pull out the key stuff.
So, let's jump in. At its core, what exactly is Crew AI?
Okay, so fundamentally, CrewAI is a Python framework. Think of it like maybe a conductor's toolkit. It lets you design, build, and manage these teams of AI agents.
Agents that work together.
Yeah, collaborate on, complex tasks. It's really about orchestrating different AI skills towards one goal.
And it doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It builds on other tech.
Oh, absolutely. It stands on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. It uses a lot of the advancements we've seen, especially leveraging LangChain quite heavily.
Oh, LangChain. Okay.
Yeah, LangChain provides many of those fundamental pieces for interacting with LLMs, right? Memory, tool usage. CrewAI basically adds this crucial layer on top for the multi-agent organization and, importantly, the workflow management, how they actually work together.
Right. And you mentioned the kind of problem it's solving. It's about the limits of single AIs.
Exactly that. Think about it. A single LLM can be great at, say, writing text or answering a specific question. But what if you need to, I don't know, research a complex market trend, analyze sales data from different sources, and then write a strategic report?
That sounds like a lot for one entity.
It can be. A single agent might get stretched thin or just lack the specific deep skills needed for each distinct part of that process. That's the gap CrewAI really targets.
So it lets you break down the big problem.
Precisely. Decompose it into smaller, manageable tasks, and then you assign those tasks to agents that are actually built for them, specialized agents.
Which brings us neatly to the main parts, the components of Crew AI. Let's break those down.
Okay, first up you have the agents.
The individual AI workers.
Yeah, think of them as your AI specialists. Each one gets a specific role defined, like market researcher or code reviewer. They have certain skills, maybe access to particular tools.
So not just generic chatbots.
Definitely not. You can give them, say, web search capabilities or the ability to run code or connect to a database, tools tailored to their job.
Makes sense. Specialization.
Then you have the crew.
The team itself.
Right. This is the structure that holds the agents together. It defines who's on the team, how they interact. Maybe it's peer-to-peer, maybe there's a hierarchy, and how they communicate and share information to reach that common goal.
Like an org chart for AIs.
Kinda, yeah. Then there are tasks. These are the actual jobs you give to the agents.
Specific assignments.
Very specific. Each task needs a clear description, what exactly needs doing,
Mm.
and crucially, what's the expected output? What should the agent deliver? This keeps things focused.
Accountability almost.
You could say that. And to manage how everything flows, you have processes.
The workflow manager.
Basically, yeah. Processes define the sequence of tasks. How does information move from agent A to agent B? When does agent C start its work? It's the orchestration layer that makes the team function smoothly.
Got it.
And finally, tools. We touched on these, but they're vital. These are the external capabilities agents use. Web searching, running code, accessing APIs, data analysis libraries,
Hmm.
anything that lets them interact beyond just text.
Okay, so agents, crew, tasks, processes, tools. And the real magic is how they work together, right? It's not just a list of features.
Exactly. It's the synergy. You get this coordinated effort where one agent's output feeds into another's work and the specialized skills complement each other. It genuinely starts to feel like an effective human team
That analogy keeps coming up.
because it fits so well.
Mhm.
And this naturally leads us into the architecture, how CrewAI is actually put together. It's pretty cleverly designed, quite modular and hierarchical.
Okay, let's peel back that layer, starting at the agent level.
Right. So at the base, An agent is usually powered by an LLM, as we said. But what makes it a CrewAI agent is the configuration.
How you set it up.
Exactly. You define its role. Maybe it's a financial analyst. You give it
Yes.
specific tools, access to stock market data APIs, maybe a calculator tool.
Okay.
You can provide it with memory, so it remembers context within its current task or recent interactions. And importantly, you set its goal. What specific outcome is this agent aiming for within the bigger picture?
Could you maybe give a concrete example, like walk us through one?
Sure. Let's imagine a competitor analysis agent. Its role is to track news and product launches from key competitors.
Okay.
Its tools might be web search APIs, maybe access to a newsfeed aggregator. Its memory helps it recall past announcements from those companies. And its goal, to produce a weekly summary highlighting significant competitor activities.
Right, that makes it very tangible. So you define these agents. How do they become a crew?
Good question. The crew level is where you bring them together. You define the team members, which agents are part of this specific crew, and critically, how they relate. Is it flat, everyone talks to everyone, or is there a leader agent?
Like a project manager.
Could be, yeah. You also define the communication protocols. How do they pass information back and forth? What's the structure?
So again, very much like setting up a human project team. Roles, reporting lines, communication channels.
Precisely. Then you layer on the tasks.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, these are the specific work units
Assigned to the agents.
assigned to the agents best suited for them. And each task needs that clear description and, very importantly, a clear definition of the expected output. What does done look like for this task?
Clarity is key.
Absolutely. And you can also set up dependencies. Task B can only start once task A is complete, for example.
Ah, so you build a sequence.
You build a sequence or a more complex workflow. That brings us to the process workflows. This defines how the tasks get done. In what order? How does the output from agent X get used by agent Y?
What kinds of processes are there?
Well, the most basic is sequential. Task 1 finishes, its output goes to task 2. Task 2 finishes, its output goes to task 3, and so on.
Like an assembly line.
Kind of. But you can also have parallel processes. Maybe two research agents can work simultaneously on different aspects of a topic to speed things up.
Makes sense.
And you can even have conditional processes.
Right.
Like if the analysis from agent A shows a high risk, then agent B performs a deeper dive. If the risk is low, maybe go straight to agent C for reporting. So decision points.
Based on results. That adds a lot of flexibility.
It really does. And what's striking, as you said, is how deliberately this mirrors effective human teamwork. Clear roles, clear communication, structured workflows. CrewAI is essentially encoding those principles for AI collaboration.
That's a powerful way to put it.
And the modularity here is a huge plus. Because it's built this way, you can easily swap out an agent if you find a better model or want different skills,
Or change the tool.
or change the tools, or even restructure the entire workflow. Maybe go from sequential to parallel without having to scrap everything and start over.
So it's adaptable.
Very adaptable, which makes it suitable for a really wide range of applications.
Yeah, let's talk about those applications. Where is this actually being used? Because that's where you really see the potential, right?
Absolutely. And the range is already pretty broad. Take content creation. You can have a crew for that.
How would that work?
Well, instead of one AI doing everything, maybe you have Agent 1 doing deep research on a topic. Agent 2 takes that research and creates a detailed outline. Agent 3 does the actual writing based on the outline. And maybe Agent 4 acts as an editor, refining the language and checking facts.
Ah, division of labor.
Exactly. Specialization at each stage. You could potentially get much higher quality, more nuanced content that way.
I can see that. It breaks down a complex creative task. What about something more technical, like software development?
Yeah, that's another really interesting area. You could imagine a crew mimicking a dev team.
Okay.
Maybe an agent analyzing requirements, another designing the software architecture, a few agents actually writing different modules of code, agents dedicated just to testing, and even an agent generating the documentation.
Wow, like a whole SDLC managed by AI agents.
Potentially, yeah. The idea is you could get AI speed and consistency applied to that whole structured process.
That's pretty transformative if it works reliably. Other areas.
Business intelligence is a big one. Think about gathering data from, tons of different places, sales figures, market reports, social media sentiment.
Right.
You could have agents specialized in collection, others in cleaning and analyzing the data, another agent focused on creating visualizations, maybe even one suggesting strategic actions based on the insights.
So a more holistic view of the business landscape.
Potentially, yes. getting deeper insights than maybe one generalist AI could find on its own.
And customer support. I could see applications there.
Definitely. You could have an agent that triages incoming support tickets, maybe another that's really good at searching knowledge bases for answers, an agent that formulates potential solutions, perhaps even a quality control agent reviewing the interactions.
Making the support process faster and maybe more consistent.
That's the goal. And again, notice how all these examples reflect how human teams in those areas are often structured. It's like applying proven organizational patterns to AI.
You mentioned some specific case studies earlier that sounded quite compelling. Can you share a bit more on those?
Sure. One that stood out was a financial services firm using CrewAI for market analysis.
Okay, what do they do?
They built a crew where different agents specialized in specific sectors, say technology, healthcare, energy. Alongside those, they had an agent looking at broader macroeconomic trends, another focused purely on risk assessment.
A diverse team.
Very diverse. And then a final agent whose job was to synthesize all that input and generate actual investment recommendations.
And the result, what did they find?
They reported getting much more nuanced advice compared to their previous approach, which relied on a single, more general AI model.
Nuanced how?
The Crew AI system was apparently better at spotting these subtle cross-sector interactions. You know, how something happening in energy might impact tech stocks in an indirect way, things a single agent might miss.
Ah, finding those hidden connections. That's valuable.
Hugely valuable for investment strategy. It led to, they said, better recommendations overall.
That's a strong validation. What about the healthcare example?
Right, that was about analyzing medical research papers, which can be incredibly dense and complex.
Definitely.
So researchers set up crews where, for instance, one agent focused solely on evaluating the study's methodology. Was this sound? Another agent specialized in scrutinizing the statistical analysis used.
Okay, very specific roles.
Very specific. Then maybe another agent comparing the paper's findings against the existing body of literature, and a final agent generating concise summaries, highlighting the key takeaways for, say, busy clinicians.
So breaking down the critical appraisal process.
Exactly. And the benefit there was the sheer depth and rigor of the analysis.
Yeah.
By having these focused specialists, they could achieve a much more thorough evaluation than one AI trying to cover all those bases.
It really drives home that point about tackling complexity through specialization.
It does. These aren't just toy examples. They show Crew AI starting to make a real difference on complex, real-world problems by, again, mirroring how effective human teams collaborate.
Okay, so for people listening, maybe they're thinking, this sounds powerful, I want to try this. How hard is it to actually get started with Crew AI?
Well, the good news is it's actually pretty approachable,
Right.
especially if you've got some Python experience already.
That helps. What's the first step?
Installation is straightforward. You just use pip, the standard Python package manager. Open your terminal and type pip install CrewAI. That's the core framework.
Simple enough?
And if you want some of the extra pre-built tools like web search tools, things like that, there's an optional install. Pip install CrewAI tools. The quotes are important there.
Okay, standard Python install. Got it. Then what? How do you build a crew?
Right. Once it's installed, the basic workflow looks something like this. First, you define your agents.
Give them their roles and tools.
Exactly. You specify their role, their main goal, maybe even a little backstory to give them context, and importantly, which tools they can use.
Like setting up your team members' profiles.
Precisely. Second, you define the tasks. What specific jobs need doing. For each task, you write a clear description, state what the expected output should look like, and then assign that task to the relevant agent you define.
Matching the job to the specialist.
Right. Third, you form the crew. This is where you bring the agents and tasks together. You list which agents are in this crew, which tasks they'll tackle, and you define their interaction process, the workflow. Sequential. Parallel.
Defining how they'll collaborate.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, you execute it. You tell the crew to kick off, and Crew AI handles the orchestration, passing information between agents based on the process you set up until the final result is produced.
So define agents, define tasks, form crew, execute. Seems logical.
Yeah.
Any advice for beginners? Where should they start?
Definitely start simple. Please don't try to build a 20-agent crew for your first project. Start with maybe 2 or 3 agents. Clear roles, straightforward tasks. Get a feel for how they interact, how information flows, how to debug it when things go wrong, because they sometimes will.
Learn the basics first.
Yeah. Once you're comfortable with a small crew, then you can gradually scale up the complexity. Add more agents, more sophisticated tasks, more complex workflows.
And where can people find help or more examples?
Oh, there are great resources. The official CrewAI documentation is really good, comprehensive, lots of examples,
Oh, the
tutorials.
docs are key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The CrewAI GitHub repository is also invaluable. You can see the code, find more examples, see how others are using it, maybe even contribute. And there's a very active Discord community.
Ah, community support.
Yeah, it's super helpful. You can ask questions, share what you're building, learn from others. Lots of experienced folks hang out there.
It sounds like there's a good ecosystem building up around it. And accessible, especially if you know Python, maybe LangChain, general LLM concepts.
Exactly. It builds on familiar ground for many developers in the AI space, which is smart. But of course, like any powerful tool, it's not without its challenges. There are things to watch out for.
Right. What are some of the common hurdles people run into when they start working seriously with Crew AI?
Well, as your crews get bigger and the tasks more complex, coordination can become a real challenge.
Managing the interactions?
Yeah, making sure information flows correctly between, say, 5 or 10 different agents, ensuring everyone has the right context at the right time. It can get intricate, just like managing a big human team.
The communication overhead.
Exactly. Another potential issue is conflicting outputs. You might have two different agents analyze the same data and come up with slightly or even significantly different conclusions.
What do you do then?
You need a plan. You need ways to detect those conflicts and then resolve them. Maybe have another agent act as a reviewer or build in logic to reconcile discrepancies.
Okay, so handling disagreement.
Right. And then there's error propagation.
Mm.
If one agent makes a mistake early in the workflow,
That mistake can cascade down.
precisely, subsequent agents might build upon that faulty information, leading to a final result that's way off base.
Right.
So error checking and validation within the workflow become really important.
Catching problems early.
Yeah. And finally, performance can sometimes be a bottleneck. If you have very computationally heavy tasks or just a huge number of agents running, things can slow down. You need to think about resource management and optimizing the workflow.
So coordination, conflicts, errors, performance, these sound like real engineering challenges. What are the best practices that are emerging to deal with them?
Well, echoing the earlier advice, start simple. Seriously. Master the basics with small crews before you scale up. It makes managing all these potential issues much easier initially.
Learn to walk before you run.
Absolutely. Another key practice. Crystal clear role definitions for each agent. Avoid ambiguity. Make sure everyone knows exactly what they're responsible for and what they're not responsible for. This minimizes overlap and confusion.
Good fences make good neighbors. We're good agents.
Something like that. Also, rigorous testing is crucial. Test your crew with different inputs, different scenarios, try to break it, see how it handles edge cases. This helps build confidence that it'll be reliable.
Testing, testing, testing.
And related to that, implement good monitoring and logging. You need visibility into what the agents are doing, what information they're passing around. When something goes wrong, good logs are your best friend for debugging.
Seeing under the hood.
Exactly. And finally, embrace iterative refinement. Your first version probably won't be perfect. Build something, test it, see where it falls short, then tweak it. Refine the agent prompts, adjust the task descriptions, optimize the workflow. It's a cycle.
Continuous improvement.
That's the mindset. It's not just about building the crew once, but about continually learning and making it better based on performance.
It sounds like building effective Crew AI systems requires not just coding skills, but also good system design and process thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah. Following these practices really helps you move from just experimenting to building robust, reliable systems that genuinely leverage that collaborative AI power.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive on Crew AI, it feels pretty clear that this is more than just an incremental improvement. It really does seem like a significant shift, right? Moving from thinking about individual AI brains to thinking about AI teams.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's applying a principle we know works incredibly well for human specialization, collaboration, structured workflows, and applying it to AI to solve problems that are too complex for any single entity.
The whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
That's the promise, yeah.
Yeah.
When you have these agents, each bring unique skills, maybe different underlying models optimized for specific tasks, all working together, you unlock possibilities that just weren't there before.
And looking forward, where do you see this going? What's next for Crew AI or this whole multi-agent approach?
Oh, it's still early days, but the trajectory is exciting. I think we'll see more sophisticated ways for agents to coordinate and negotiate, maybe more built-in learning, where crews can adapt and improve their collaboration over time automatically.
More autonomy.
Potentially greater autonomy, yeah. And deeper integration with other AI, tech knowledge graphs, reinforcement learning, robotics even. It's a really fertile ground for innovation.
So for anyone listening, whether you're looking at content creation or BI or software development or something totally different, CrewAI seems like a framework worth exploring if you're facing complex multi-step challenges.
Definitely. It provides that structure, that orchestration layer, to bring multiple AI capabilities together effectively.
And if you do want to dive deeper, check out those resources, the official docs, GitHub, the Discord community. We'll make sure to put links in the show notes for you.
They are genuinely helpful for getting started and for troubleshooting as you go.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. Thanks for breaking down CrewAI for us. It really clarifies the concept and the potential.
My pleasure. It's fascinating stuff.
It certainly leaves you thinking, doesn't it, about where AI is heading and how organizing intelligence, whether human or artificial, is maybe the key to tackling the really big challenges ahead.
Indeed. The journey continues, and collaborative AI like CrewAI is definitely a very interesting path on that journey.